Welcome back to our special coverage of the New York hush money trial against former President Donald Trump. We've just learned that Trump's longtime executive assistant, Rona Graff, is done testifying, and we're told just a moment ago that the court has taken a 15-minute break, an afternoon recess. Let's discuss this and more with retired Judge Judge Cordell. She spent 19 years on the bench in California. She's also the author of the book, Her Honor, My Life on the Bench, What Works, What's Broken, and How to Change It. Judge, thank you so much for being with us this afternoon. First, I want to get your reaction to this testimony by Rona Graff. It was fairly quick. It lasted, in total, I think, less than an hour.
Well, she was called by the prosecution. And what the prosecution is doing is giving the jurors a story and building on the story. So the first witness was Mr. Pecker, and he lays a groundwork, kind of talking about how all this works with interacting with Trump and with the newspaper, the tabloid. And so then now's the next step. And so what the prosecution is what they should do, and what all prosecutors do, is they're telling a story. And this is the next person to reveal a little bit more information to get them where they're going. So that's why this witness wasn't on long. She was there for a specific purpose. Cross-examination wasn't long, and off she went.
I just want to give our viewers a quick update from our reporters inside the courtroom. Apparently, Donald Trump has walked out of the room with a stern expression, clutching a stack of documents as he continues to scan both sides of the courtroom. Judge Cordell, I'm curious to get your perspective on the pace of the proceedings thus far, because really we've had testimony from one witness over several days. That was the former publisher David Pecker, and just about an hour of testimony from this longtime Trump assistant. Are things moving at a proper speed from your point of view?
Well, the speed of a trial is determined mainly by the trial judge. As you noted, I've presided over trials for a long time, and when you have a jury, you keep your eye, if you're a trial judge, on the jury. Are they nodding off? Are they not paying attention? And so you want to have the trial move along, and the people who can slow it down are the lawyers. So if the questioning becomes tedious and it seems not quite relevant, that can be a problem. So with this trial, things are moving smoothly, and they're moving as they should. They take more time with witnesses they think are more important than other witnesses. So the groundwork is being laid, and I think the pace is one absolutely a good one. And I haven't heard any reports from those inside the courtroom that the jurors appear to be uninterested and not paying attention.
That is a good point. I do want to ask you about Judge Merchan not yet ruling on the gag orders, or rather the gag order, these complaints coming from the prosecution that Donald Trump has made repeated posts on social media, remarks before cameras, attacking witnesses, going after different folks, taking part in the proceedings. There was a hearing earlier this week, I think on Tuesday, that took about 2 hours of time. Going into the details, there was an additional filing for potential new violations, prosecutors argue. What do you think the judge is delaying a decision on this?
Well, first of all, this is what's called indirect contempt. It's criminal contempt, but indirect because the contempt didn't occur right in front of the judge. So there was a hearing on 10 violations that the prosecution claims was committed by Donald Trump. And so now they have 4 more. They have filed for 4 more violations. So we're talking a total of 14. So if we look at the first 10, the judge heard evidence. You have to have an evidentiary hearing when it's indirect contempt. Direct contempt would be if Donald Trump were to do something in front of the judge. Then there wouldn't be an evidentiary hearing because the judge would be the eyewitness. So in this instance, the judge has delayed giving a ruling. And the question is why? Well, I think one reason is that if you're a trial judge, there's tremendous pressure on you anyway, just generally every day when you go to court. But when you are presiding over a high-profile trial, and I have done that in terms of high profile within my location in Silicon Valley in California, but this is just way over the top high profile. There is tremendous pressure on the judge because everything the judge says, everything the judge orders is under a microscope. So when you're under that kind of pressure, you are deliberate. You don't do anything that's rushed. And in this instance, he has to, first of all, he has to make a decision. You're not a good trial judge if you don't like making decisions. He has to make a decision. And the key here is a decision has to be one that punishes one if he determines there were violations. I can't imagine the judge will find that there were no violations. And he's already warned Donald Trump, and Donald Trump has been fined before. But here's what's unprecedented. What's unprecedented is if this judge decides that incarceration is appropriate. That's never been done to a former president. So if that is going to happen, I can appreciate the judge being very deliberate and likely have a written decision. The judge could sentence Donald Trump to up to 30 days in jail for each violation, and that's just the first 10. I can appreciate that, but he's going to have to rule. That's what trial judges do, and he's going to have to make a decision.
Judge Doris Hazard Cordell, we very much appreciate the perspective. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you.